The Phobos photo. On March 25, 1989, the Soviet probe Phobos II sent back its mysterious final transmission before falling silent forever. The image, blurred, eerie, showed a massive cylindrical object seemingly suspended in the void near the Martian moon Phobos. Moments later, the probe vanished. The official Soviet explanation was that the probe malfunctioned, but others weren't so sure. Among them was Soviet Air Force Colonel Marina Popovich, a decorated test pilot and aerospace engineer who set over 100 world aviation records in Soviet fighters and other aircraft, earning her the nickname Madame MiG. She claimed she had smuggled classified documents out of the USSR, detailing what Phobos II really saw. Speaking at a press conference in 1991, Popovich asserted that the probe had captured a UFO stationed near Mars, and later said that Phobos itself was not a natural moon at all, but an artificial structure, at least 1/3 hollow. This was not an entirely new idea. In the late 1950s, Soviet astrophysicist Joseph Shklovsky studied Phobos' orbital decay and concluded its movement could not be explained by natural forces alone. For this to be true, Phobos had to be unnaturally light, perhaps even hollow. Shklovsky speculated it could be a gigantic metal shell of artificial origin. Even Fred Singer, science advisor to President Eisenhower, briefly entertained the possibility before the theory was dismissed as an error. Yet, it never quite went away. Decades later, in 2022, new radar scans from the European Space Agency's Mars Express orbiter revealed something just as perplexing. The scans, designed to map the moon's interior, bounced back in ways scientists could not fully explain. They suggested unknown structures beneath the surface, though their exact nature would require more study. Adding to the moon's mysterious reputation is the Phobos monolith, an 85-meter-tall, stark white boulder standing alone near Stickney Crater. First spotted in 1998, it remains one of Phobos' most visually striking features. Buzz Aldrin once drew attention to it, saying, quote, "There's a monolith there. When people find out about that, they're going to ask who put that there." Most planetary scientists believe it's a natural impact-ejected rock. Others, however, suggest a more provocative theory, that the monolith is a marker, a signpost left behind by an unknown intelligence. Phobos has always defied easy explanations. Its low density suggests massive hollow spaces within. Its grooves and ridges do not resemble typical impact patterns, and its orbit is so close to Mars that the planet pulls it a tiny bit closer each year, leaving it destined for destruction. And then there's the fate of Phobos II. Was it merely a malfunction, or was it silenced? Japan's upcoming MMX mission, set to land on Phobos in 2026, promises to return samples to Earth. Perhaps it will solve one of space exploration's most haunting mysteries. Or, like every attempt before, it may only deepen the question, what is Phobos? Square. It shouldn't be there. A perfect square, 235 meters across, carved into the Martian surface. The image, captured by NASA's Mars Global Surveyor in 2001, was forgotten for decades until it recently resurfaced online, sparking a frenzy. Joe Rogan called it effing wild. Elon Musk suggested sending astronauts to investigate. Then came the AI analysis. The square's dimensions matched the Great Pyramid of Giza, and if viewed from the right angle, its slopes mimicked the pyramid's precise 51.5-degree incline. Coincidence, or something more? For true believers, this was no ordinary rock formation. This was evidence of a past civilization, perhaps the most compelling since the infamous Face on Mars. But if history has taught us anything, it's that Mars loves to play tricks on the human imagination. Mars has a way of tricking us. In 1877, astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli described canali, natural channels, on Mars, only for the word to be mistranslated as canals, fueling popular speculation about alien engineers. A century later, the 1976 Viking 1 orbiter photographed what appeared to be a face in the Cydonia region. sparking decades of debate about extraterrestrial ruins. Later, higher resolution images proved it to be nothing more than a hill, but the myth endured. This square on Mars is simply the latest illusion. Planetary geologists point out that geometric formations occur in nature. Just look at the tessellated pavement of Tasmania, where erosion has carved vast stretches of interlocking rectangular stones. NASA's explanation is equally mundane. The square is a trick of light and shadow, its walls nothing more than crater edges worn down by time. A 2018 Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter image from a different angle confirms this, though some claim it was released to quash speculation. Yet the mystery remains, because even if the square is nothing but rock, the dream it represents, a buried history on another world, is too powerful to ignore. Stargate Mars. In 1984, deep inside a classified facility, a man sat blindfolded, a white envelope resting on the table before him. His name was Joe McMoneagle, and he was the CIA's remote viewer number 1, an intelligence officer trained to see across space and time using only his mind. The voice of an instructor broke the silence. Focus on these coordinates: 40.89 degrees north, 9.55 degrees west. McMoneagle took a breath and described what he saw: a massive red pyramid, half buried in dust storms. Then the room inside, a vast space, eerily empty, as though its inhabitants had long since vanished. A moment later, he glimpsed tall, thin figures in strange clothing, their silhouettes flickering like ghosts from another time. They were struggling for survival as their world collapsed around them. Only after the session did he learn the target. The card inside the envelope read, Mars, 1 million years BC. McMoneagle, a retired Army intelligence officer, recently broke his silence on the American Alchemy podcast, detailing the experiment that sent his mind across interplanetary distances. According to him, he saw an ancient civilization at its breaking point, dying giants huddled inside vast stone chambers, with a planet-wide catastrophe unfolding outside. The experiment was part of Project Stargate, a Cold War-era intelligence program designed to harness psychic abilities for espionage. The project began in the 1970s, amid reports that the Soviet Union was pouring resources into similar research. Under the guidance of military officials and scientists at Stanford Research Institute, Stargate viewers reportedly helped locate Soviet submarines, track enemy movements, and even assist in hostage rescues. McMoneagle had already used his abilities in intelligence operations, including the Iran hostage crisis. But this task was different. The coordinates given to him that day led not to a military target on Earth, but to an alien world. The details of his session, declassified decades later, remain among the strangest in CIA history. He later stormed into NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, demanding negatives of the coordinates he had viewed. To his shock, he claimed he found images of pyramid-like structures, confirming what he had seen in his vision. The CIA eventually shut down Project Stargate in 1995, citing a lack of reliable intelligence value. But McMoneagle remains convinced that remote viewing works, and that his visions of Mars hint at something larger. Could an advanced civilization have once thrived on the Red Planet? And if so, did its survivors ever find a new home? Officially, the CIA has no answers, but McMoneagle's session remains on record, an anomaly in the agency's archives. As McMoneagle himself put it, quote, "They're not hiding it, they're just not talking about it." The Boy from Mars. The footage is grainy. An 11-year-old boy sits beside his mother, his voice unwavering. "I lived on Mars," he says. His name is Boriska Kiprianovich, and he claims that before he was born on Earth, he belonged to an advanced Martian civilization, one that destroyed itself in a nuclear war. To skeptics, it's fantasy. To believers, it's a warning. Boriska's story spread like wildfire. He described interstellar travel, Martian refugees, and an ancient connection to Earth, specifically the pyramids of Egypt. He claimed that Martians once worked with the Egyptians, and that a secret mechanism behind the Sphinx's ear could change the course of human history. Human life will change when the Sphinx is opened, he said. But what made Boriska different from any other child fascinated by space? Born in 1996 in Volgograd, Russia, he showed signs of unusual intelligence from infancy, lifting his head at 2 weeks, reading by 1 year, solving puzzles meant for older children. But it was his obsession with space that set him apart. By 2 years old, he was making an extraordinary claim. He had once lived on Mars. He spoke of towering humanoid beings nearly 3 meters tall, with elongated limbs and enormous, watchful eyes. They didn't eat food, but absorbed energy from their atmosphere, processing carbon dioxide in ways unknown to Earth's biology. But they were at war. Boriska described a planetary conflict between 2 factions, both wielding weapons beyond human comprehension. Everything burned down, he said in his now infamous 2007 interview. The war reduced Mars to dust, forcing the survivors underground, where he claimed they still remain. Perhaps the most unsettling part of his story was his warning. He insisted Earth was heading toward the same fate, that he had been sent here to prevent history from repeating. His descriptions of Martian spacecraft, triangular, nearly invisible to human eyes, resonated with UFO researchers, and some of his claims about Egypt weren't entirely baseless. Radar scans beneath the Sphinx have occasionally suggested hidden chambers, though no mechanism has ever been found, at least not yet. As Boriska's story gained traction, scientists, journalists, and UFO researchers sought him out. His knowledge of planetary science and physics stunned even skeptics. Then, he disappeared. His last known public statements came in 2017. After that, nothing. Some claimed Russian authorities restricted him, preventing him from speaking. Others believe he simply grew up and moved on. But believers still wait, either for Boriska's return or for the Sphinx to finally reveal its secrets. War. Mars has a secret buried in its atmosphere. An unusual abundance of xenon-129, a radioactive isotope typically found on Earth in the aftermath of nuclear explosions. It's a signature of fast neutron fission, the same process seen in hydrogen bomb tests. NASA's Viking landers detected this anomaly decades ago. No known natural process fully explains it, and physicist John Brandenburg believes he knows why. Mars, he argues, was home to an ancient civilization, one that met its end in a nuclear war against an alien threat that may still be out there. The evidence, he claims, is written across the planet's surface. Uranium, thorium, and radioactive potassium appear to radiate outward from 2 locations, Mare Acidalium and Utopia Planitia. Brandenburg sees a pattern. The distribution suggests an airburst explosion, rather than natural geological processes. If he's right, the first detonation would have been blinding. 2 fireballs blooming over the Martian surface with the intensity of 1,000 suns. And then, silence. Brandenburg speculates that Mars was once home to an intelligent species split into 2 groups, the Sidonians and Utopians. They thrived when the planet had a thicker atmosphere and flowing water. Then they were attacked by an unknown extraterrestrial force. He points to the so-called face on Mars at Cydonia Mensa and other structures resembling the remnants of pyramids. Brandenburg believes that they are the eroded remnants of a civilization wiped from existence. Skeptics argue that while xenon-129 is unusual, it isn't definitive proof of nuclear war. Natural fission reactors, like the Oklo reactor that formed in ancient Africa on Earth, could have existed on Mars. Others suggest that the isotope's distribution is the result of solar wind stripping away the planet's atmosphere. But Brandenburg insists that we cannot afford to ignore the signs. The Fermi paradox asks, if the universe teems with habitable planets, why haven't we found advanced civilizations? Brandenburg's answer is frightening, because something is exterminating them. Mars, he warns, may be a cautionary tale. If its civilization was destroyed for broadcasting its existence too loudly, could Earth be next? NASA plans to send humans to Mars, but if Brandenburg is right, The mission could be more than scientific exploration. It's a search for a warning left buried beneath the dust. Do you think an ancient civilization once existed on Mars? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching Dark 5. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.